In life, in business, and in all other things that you do, you will have moments where things are moving fast, and you'll have moments where things are moving slow. However, something that often goes overlooked is a saying from the Navy SEALs, which is slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. This is a simple phrase that only means to say that when we take our time and focus methodically on a task or a goal, everything will fall into place, as opposed to rushing and making mistakes. We make sure that things get done right the first time. And that means that we're moving faster than as if we were coming back to correct our mistakes just to originally reach the goal that we were working for in the past. Now, you might think, well, I don't want to go slow. I want things to go fast. I don't want to wait because I'm impatient. And social media has utterly destroyed my perception of time. Things need to happen today. Things should have happened yesterday. I worked for 2 weeks on my business. Why am I not a millionaire? Well, my friend, almost anything that's worthwhile in life will take at least 1 year. But in reality, it's probably going to take anywhere from 2 to 5 before you even start seeing the fruits of your own labor. That's because for time and time again, all the moves that you take in your life require time. You need to build a network. You need to build a client or customer base. You need to build your model for your business or your schedule for your company, or even your position within a company. Even working a 9-to-5 job, you need to learn how to cultivate that environment and how you play into the ecosystem that either was designed or is being designed by you, depending on the level of position you hold. And the same thing holds for relationships. Most things won't immediately bloom. Oftentimes you have to give before you receive. And it's going to take time before you start getting the dividends for the work and what you've paid and put in.
Now, this is a very good topic because this is something that I see and encounter with loved ones, with people that I know, acquaintances. Everyone wants to get this shit overnight. And maybe it's just because it's something that I previously found out the hard way by parents forcing me to do things that I didn't necessarily want to do, but was the best for my maturation as a young man. I learned that these things take time. And when people play the game of life fast, they peak early. And we've seen this before. We've seen this with people who peaked early in middle school, peaked early in high school, peaked early in college. But God willing, we have a lot of years still in the tank. And they burnt out so fast and so quickly because they chose to play the game of life fast instead of to do it the correct way, to do it right, to make sure all their steps were aligned and centered and focused on the actual goal, which is longevity. And a rapper that we know, his name is Currency, he referenced, or he said a bar that I like. He said, longevity, we're endurance runners. So when you think of that and you apply it to your life in general, a lot of people always view running from a sprinter's perspective. Like, oh, they're so cool, they're so fast. Cool. They are. They're cool and they're fast. But when it comes to life, when it comes to business, when it comes to other endeavors that you might have, you need to think of yourself as a long distance runner or endurance runner. One who runs a long race instead of a short race. Because this thing called life in business takes a lot of time. A lot of time. So in order for you to get to the goal and complete the race, you have to be in it for the long haul. And it's not just being in it for the long haul to reach the goal. It's also being in it for the long haul to maintain the goal. That's even harder, in my opinion. It's once you get a taste of success is maintaining it. The work doesn't stop after that. So when you're thinking about doing something, worry about precision first and worry about the speed later. If you're doing some shit wrong and fast, it doesn't matter how quickly you think that you finished whatever the fuck that you're doing, you did it fucking wrong. Doesn't matter. You failed. You might have thought that you finished the test, or you did finish the test earlier than everybody else in the class. Cool. You had all that confidence, all that bravado, you turned it in. Then when your teacher finally handed it back to you, you might have got the lowest fucking score. You doing it fast doesn't mean shit. And you can apply it to multiple things. You doing homework fast, you doing schoolwork fast, you fucking fast doesn't always equate to you necessarily getting the best experience out of your partner and vice versa. And you should know that if you want to have quality anything. So worry about doing the shit right first, then worry about the speed. Because when you're training for any type of event, swimming, running, shot put, what have you, they don't teach you about, hey, this is how fast that you have to do this shit first. You have to swim this fast in order to win. You have to run this fast in order to run the race. No. They say, okay, look, let's break this down from the fundamental mechanics of how you need to run, not only to be fast, but to maintain some type of bodily health and get the most out of the situation that you're in. So they break down the fundamentals first. Before you shoot a three, they teach you how to do a layup. They teach you how to do mid-range. They teach you how to shoot a free throw. Then you can shoot a three. They're not going to just tell you, yeah, go out there and shoot a three first. No, you need to learn the basics and the fundamentals. You need to get that precision on point to where wherever you are on the court, wherever you are on the field, wherever you are in life, you understand how to approach certain things. Then once you get that down, then once you can be known as a subject matter expert on whatever it is that you're focusing on, then you can worry about the speed of things. Then you can work on, okay, I've done this well enough. Now it's time to get better and improve on the speed and how quickly I can deliver something. But if you're worrying about that first, your quality could be the sacrificial lamb there. And even if you have fast work, if it's shit work, you're not going to get a good return. Though, of course, speed is important once you're getting into the higher levels of things for sure. But in my opinion, if you're slower but produce high quality things, people would be more willing to work with you as opposed to if you were fast and produce shit. And we've been through this process before in many aspects where we chose someone who might, deliver something slower because we prefer the quality. However, if you're not looking for quality, you're just looking for something quick, sure, choose that fast person. But when you get into the higher ranks of things, people are not only looking for the pace and timing of things and how quickly you can be able to deliver, they're looking for the quality as well. And in my opinion, if you're going to start on something and honing something first, it should be the quality first, and then you work on how fast you can do something.
Well, that makes me think of, to give you all a very real example, golf. So I don't play golf yet, and I don't have a fair understanding of the game to the minute details, but I can say one thing for certain. When you play golf, if you rush your shot and you fail to line up and set yourself and orient yourself properly, you're going to knock that ball way far off a trajectory and most likely miss your target by a long shot. Every single shot after that is going to be skewed, and messed up, which means you are now likely going to add to your shots. And in the process of trying to work fast or hit fast without paying too much attention, and you're saying, I want to finish this hole fast, you're likely going to finish the hole in more shots. And if you do that on every single hole on your scorecard, your score is going up, which in golf is not what you want. And therefore, there's a long-lasting impression that bleeds from rushing one thing that's so simple as just calming down, orienting yourself properly, and setting your direction and your heading properly. But instead of doing that, since you failed to do that, you've now not only messed up the entire hole, but the entire game as a whole. And so that bleeds into all aspects of your life, whether it's games, business, family, relationships. Every time you fail to do something properly, you're going to fail at doing other things properly because there's patterns in your life. But there's something interesting here that I wanted to reference, which is a saying that is a fast nickel and a slow dime. Now, a lot of people would prefer a fast nickel, and I agree with this. It's nice to be churning more money. Even if it's smaller, you have movement, you have cash flow, and that helps. This is true. However, we don't know the proportion of the slow dime. Let's say that Austin and I were private jet brokers. Every time that we actually sell a jet or charter a jet, there's a substantial amount of income. Might not be as frequent, but when it hits nicely. And the goal that I would say here is understand what makes the nickel fast. And this just means that you have a low-paying item that's being sold or a service that's being sold at a frequency higher than a high-paying item, because that's generally the convention that it follows. So while you're making either a fast nickel or a slow dime, what can you do as the business owner, as the employee, as the manager, as a director, whatever your position might be, to make that dime a fast dime? You shouldn't be focused on, we're moving a whole bunch of this product or this service. This is great. Let's focus on this. Let's hone in on this. Not a bad idea. But what if you could have the same speed with that dime as opposed to that nickel? What if you could make more money with the same level of effort, and the only thing you have to do is set up your process so that you speed up the lag between your sales pitch and getting paid for that dime? The key here is when things are moving fast and things are going well, you need to slow down and evaluate your processes and understand how you can improve them so that overall you can speed everything up. You can smooth out the issues that you're having in a certain area so that when you blink, everything clicks into place and you just sped up. Next thing you know, that secondary product that you had is your primary product. It's making you more money. It has better return for your clients or your customers. It's easier on your employees. You're just winning. So always, always, always slow down when things are going well and be methodical in your processes, because as James Clear says in the Atomic Habits, you need to make the action the goal, not the outcome. If you focus in on putting in the work day in, day out, fixing the processes, working on the minute details as opposed to looking at the payout, then you'll get further than if you just focus on the singular thing.
Indeed. And in my opinion, the main objective at the end of the day is to be able to complete the mission. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Speed there is not of as high importance as crossing the finish line. Because there are certain situations where it's a life or situation. And in those situations, it's not a matter of okay, how fast did we get through this process? How fast did we get through this battle? How quickly did we take out the enemies or whatever? No. That's not the point. The point is, did we get everybody home to their families? Is everyone okay and able to live, breathe, eat, drink, shit the same way that they did before we got into this fight? That's the important thing. That's the main objective. So when you're thinking about slow is smooth and smooth is fast, again, in the game of life, it's life or the other thing. It's win or lose. And in my opinion, your win can still happen amongst everyone else's wins, right? So it's not something to where there's only one large jackpot of funds on this planet for someone, and only one person gets it. And once they get it, no one else can have anything. That's not how shit works. There's enough money, there's enough status, there's enough fame or whatever the fuck out there for everyone. So it's not about who gets there the fastest. Just because you were the first doesn't mean that you're the best.
By no means.
So it's all about, did you cross that finish line? Once you cross that finish line, once you climb that mountaintop, like someone that we know says, there's room up here for everyone at the top of the mountain. There's a lot of room. You can do it. You just have to be willing to take the time to get up there. Because if you try to rush up fucking Mount Kilimanjaro or Mount Everest, more often than not, you're going to have a quick route into your demise. However, if you handle it smoothly, well thought out, well planned, carefully, the odds of you making up that mountain are a lot more realistic. Same thing goes with anything, with success, with business, what have you. Of course, speed does matter, but you have to focus on doing the little things the correct way. And if you do the little things the correct way, it not only increases your chances of success, but increases everyone's chances around you to succeed and make it home to their families safely. That's the main goal. The main goal is to win the race, to complete the race, to finish the race. It's not to say, hey, I was the one running fastest at the beginning of the race. Because just like the tortoise and the hare was running fast at the beginning of the race. Fast as fuck, sure. But who ended up finishing the race? Doesn't matter how quickly you start or the burst that you get, in mile 3. What matters is who crosses the finish line at mile, whatever the fuck. Just like Ashley Kane's Ultraman race. There might have been a lot of people out there that could have started the race faster, biked faster, swam faster, kayaked faster. However, when you do all three, and the goal is to finish all three, going from the bottom of the United Kingdom to the top, then doing that all over again for biking, and then all over again for fucking kayaking. When the point is to finish the race, a lot of people, actually probably everybody except him and maybe someone else that just didn't feel like trying it, would have failed. The goal wasn't to be the fastest kayaker, be the fastest swimmer, be the fastest biker. The goal was to finish. And you finish by handling everything smoothly and taking care of everything, making sure that you are taking the adequate steps, measures, and whatnot in order for you to safely finish this race and be able to say, hey, I was the one who crossed the finish line. Because if you don't fucking cross the finish line, if you don't win, if you don't get the goal that you said that you want, there's no fucking fun in saying, yeah, I almost got it. I was fast though. Nobody gives a fuck.
I'd rather get it right throughout a lifetime than spend a lifetime trying to figure it out and fix the problem that I made. I'd rather look at the long-term scope and be like, yeah, that took me 40 years, but I didn't step wrong anywhere. And when you look at it and you look at our P&L, those numbers are ridiculously good, as opposed to saying, oh, I failed in this business, I failed in this business, I failed in this business, I failed in this business. And your list goes on and on and on and on. And you can list every single lesson that you made or lesson that you learned. But you look back and you realize that all those mistakes you made could have been avoided if you just sat down and thought. So while you're talking about businesses you failed, with the other company, we're talking about deals that we weren't able to close, and then how they lead to deals that we were able to close, right? Fail where it's important, adapt your process, be slow with it, smooth out all the wrinkles, and you'll get to where you need to get to expeditiously.
And on top of that, I don't want people to get confused with us saying, what you just said. But also, I think that in order for you to succeed, of course, it's going to take some losses and failure. We're not saying that things are going to happen perfectly. But I believe, and this kind of goes back to what you're saying, in my opinion, is if you're going to set out on this thing of entrepreneurship and whatnot and have your own business, there's good failures and bad failures. Bad failures, in my opinion, are times or experiences where you don't follow the slow is smooth and smooth is fast method. You follow it has to happen fast method. And if it doesn't, I'm going to quit. That is a bad failure. Because if you have a business, you started it and it lasted you 2 months, you're a failure, the business is a failure, and it's a fucking horrible failure. Why? Because you didn't even let it fucking have time to germinate and grow. So that's fucking terrible. That's your fault. Those are the failures that we want to avoid. And if you have just a whole bunch of those, you're a fucking failure, you're not going anywhere. Sorry to tell you that. But if you have the experience and time, the slow is smooth and smooth is fast method, and you've let this shit germinate for years, and you find out that, who knows, the product that you're offering may not be as important as it used to be. It may be a fucking, a fucking combustion engine when everything fucking moves to electric in 5 years. Who knows? So in that case, sure, it might be time to pivot. Who knows? But in those cases, more often than not, those lessons that you've learned over that time are more valuable. And in my opinion, that is a good failure because you've learned how to have discipline. Hopefully you learned a lot through that process of that business not working so that you can be able to utilize it for something else in the future. So what Jose and I are telling you, we're not saying, hey, you have to be absolutely perfect. No, we know that's not possible. But realize that this shit takes time. And you don't want to just go into shit thinking that it's going to happen overnight. Because if you do, following some social media person that's probably lying to you in the first place, the shit is going to have and hold a lot of failures for you. And probably no wins. Because you're not willing to stick the shit out. Because it's about, again, finishing the race, not just starting a whole bunch of races and quitting after mile 1 because you're out of fucking energy. You're still a loser, and no matter how many races that you start, because you didn't finish the fucking race.
And nobody likes a loser. And if you want to be a loser, all right, loser. The AM Club Podcast.
Well, I was about to say go be a loser somewhere else.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
Mic check. The AM Club Podcast.